Hi, my name is Philip Lynch and I'm CEO of Pixel Soup, and we're just at the end of a day of UX testing, and I just thought I'd share with you how we got on. We use a thing called a Tobii Eye Tracker. This is where it tracks the child's eye movement when they're actually playing the game itself, and we use it in a particular mode called Rotational Symmetry. So we use it to validate the learning objectives within the game itself. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it on, I'm going to show you the video, and I'm going to do a voiceover as well, just talk you through what's going on. So let's go have a look at it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my language here, which is English. It's important to note it's available in 8 languages: Portuguese, Spanish, French, German, Russian, Chinese, English and Irish. I think that's the 8 of the languages. So we've already covered reflective symmetry in an earlier tutorial, but today we focused on rotational symmetry with the UX testing for Tobii Eye Tracker. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to this, okay? So I'll just start on the easy level, and straight away we notice that there's a center point. Everything rotates around the center point here. I'm just going to do a quick show me just to see what's involved. Okay, so that rotates to there, to there, to there, and to there. Okay, so what I got to do is I got to place this guy here, line maps to there, if that's right. Okay, so we've got a green one, blue one, and a red guy. Okay, yeah, that's straightforward enough. And then we're just going to do the same up here. Okay. And blue, and then red. And if I make a mistake, it just pops it back. Make 2 mistakes, pops it back, and a little hint pops up. Okay. So no more mistakes, we'll pop it up. Okay, so the target moves were 8. My moves were 10. I went 2 over, and it took me 41 seconds. Now I can try that again to improve the score here, or my time, or I can play a new game. And it's random every time. Okay, so it's endless. So if I go into the medium level here, what's required is, it's the same concept. We've got a center point here, and in this quadrant here we have it a lot more populated, and it has to be mapped down into these other 3 quadrants. So take that line there and maps down to this line here. So let me just do one quadrant here to show you what's involved. So that line there maps down to this line here. Okay, yeah. Then we have that purple one there, it maps down to there, and that blue line there maps down to there. Okay, so that line there maps to there. This line here maps to this line here. So we got a green square, then we have a yellow circle. Okay, so then that line there maps to this one here. So I got a blue and a green here. So let's just pop that in. Blue and a green one. And then the last one, which is that line there, maps to there. Okay, yellow, green, and blue. Okay. So you can see that it's a little bit more complex. You kind of got to work it out and map each one according to the coordinates that you've just read on the original quadrant. So it's a little bit more time consuming, certainly, but it's a little more taxing on the brain to actually work that out. Okay, so let's go into the hard level here. Okay, so this is a lot more busy and a lot more complex. What we've got is it's sporadically populated in each of the different quadrants. We have up to 5 shapes. Okay, we've got square, triangle, circles, pentagon, hexagon, and we've got up to 5 colors. I think there's 5 colors here. We've got purple, green, red, yellow, and no, just 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this puzzle. I'm going to try and explain how to do it as I go. Okay, so let's just the way I do it is that I map everything back into one central quadrant, and I get one of them populated perfectly, and from there then map them back across. So that purple guy there, he has to map back across this line here. So if I drop him in there, okay, he's in the right place, but he's in the right place, but the hint is saying it's that the counter is in the correct position but not the correct orientation. Click to rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, so get rid of that hint. So which way should it go? Just think about this. It's not telling me by default. So if I look at the original one up here, so you can see it's kind of pulsing now, but if I go back to the original one has a flat surface here and has a point which is pointing south. Okay, so if I rotate that back around here, it should actually be pointing east, and that means the flat surface should be on this side and the point should be on this side. So if I take my cursor off it, it'll check it, and then if it stops flashing, that means it's in the right position. It doesn't tell me by default. I can keep going. It's only when I take my cursor off it that it indicates. Okay, yeah, that worked. Okay, so then I got to map on the circle here. Now, no way as complex as the pentagon. That one there. Okay, maps to this one here, so that it should go into this. So let me just pop that guy in there. Yeah, okay, so that quadrant is now in this one. So this line here maps up to this line here. Okay, so we got another pentagon here, a yellow one. Okay, so that line there maps up to this line here. Okay, and let's just look at the point. At the moment, the original one is pointing north. So if I bring it up and I rotate it around, it should be pointing east. So we got a flat surface there. Okay, flat surface. So now we got that pointing. So this has rotated around to this position. The same with this hexagon here. This hexagon here, that line there maps up to this line here. The hexagon originally had 2 points, one pointing east, one pointing west. So that means if I rotate it around, it should have one pointing south and one pointing north. Okay, and then the last one here is this pentagon here. So I don't know about you, but I find it difficult to map across from there to there. I got to work it out here. So I take it that that line there maps to there. And again, with the original one has an east and west, so it should be north and south on this one here. And then I'm going to map this line here up to this line here. So there's our pentagon there. And that one there. Okay. So, oh no, it's in the wrong position. So that's one quadrant, okay, and that's completed. So what I got to do is take this completed quadrant and map it back to this guy, and this guy. So I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as possible without making too many mistakes. So I'm going to use the triangle. He's pointing north here, so we should be pointing east. We've got the hexagon here, so north and south. Then we got the two circles. We've already got one circle there. I'll pop him in there. And then I have this line here, which maps across here. So I got a yellow pentagon, I got a square, and then I got a hexagon. Okay, so this one here is pointing east. If I rotate it around that way, it should be pointing south. Okay, and that's okay. So that's that quadrant done. Is that right? Yeah, that's that quadrant done. Okay, so I'm going to map this line here onto this one here. Okay. So the purple pointing south, if I rotate it around, bring it down to here, it should be pointing west. Yeah, and the same, let me say, we've got a circle next. Okay, then we go this line here, across to this line here. So it should be the same as the purple one. The two, there's a bit of a cheat there. If the two of them look the same, they look the same there. I don't really have to think about that. Oh, hang on a second, wrong one. This guy here goes to there. Okay, so we got a circle, and then we have the triangle. Okay. All right. Okay, and then you see what's next. Oh yeah. Then we've got this line here, which is already a pentagon there, so it's kind of confusing. I'll just remap that. So we got a yellow pentagon and red square, yellow pentagon, red square. Okay, and then we got this line here maps to this line here. Okay, so it should be in that position there. And it should be a point north and a point south. Okay, so we're nearly there. And let me see that this guy here, that line there, maps to there. So by default, that was in the right place, so no turning there required. And we have this line here maps to this line here. So we got a yellow guy there, or a red circle there, and then I've got. So that green triangle is going to rotate around to this point here, and he's pointing south there, so he should be pointing west when we start. Okay, hope I'm not going too fast here. I'm trying to work it myself as I go. And there we go. Okay, so you'll notice that my target moves are 24. Target moves are 24 and my moves are 34. And that's the reason I didn't make many mistakes by placing the counters in the wrong position. Those extra 10 digits score on top of what was 24 is because I took my cursor off the counter and I rotated it and to see if it was checking. Whereas what I can do is it counts that as a move. If you move your cursor off and it's in the wrong position, it'll start flashing and count that as a move. I'm just going to pause the game here for 1 second just to introduce you to some new data that's on screen at the moment. These 3 new red dots. It's important to note that these red dots are not part of Symmetry School, the game itself, but what they are is some data from the Tobii Eye Tracker to give you an indication of where Matthew's eye has travelled during the gameplay. So there's 3 red dots on screen at the moment where I've paused it. It started off in the bottom left hand corner, and then that one is connected to 2 other smaller dots that are hovering over the English selection button in the centre of the screen. This is where Matthew started looking, the bottom left hand corner. He made his way up to the English selection button, made sure it was that, and then selected this section. It's important to know that Matthew is an experienced user of Symmetry School, so he jumped straight into the rotational symmetry, into the hard level. So let's have a look at how he gets on now using the Tobii Eye Tracker. Okay, so the hard level gets selected. Then he's presented with a new puzzle that's random. So you'll notice the red dots from the Tobii Eye Tracker are laid over the game. This is giving an indication of, again, where Matthew is looking. So he's starting on the yellow counters in the centre there. You'll notice that the data from the red dots from the Tobii Eye Tracker are getting larger the longer that the child is staying looking in one area. So you see this purple triangle he's working on at the moment. It's getting really large at the moment. That's called a dwell point. That gives an indication of how long Matthew has stayed in that area looking at that particular counter while he assesses what orientation that counter should be in. So he's looking on the light blue ones now, and you can see that he's staying in that area, and it's getting huge. So he must be there about 3 or 4 seconds. The longer he stays, the more he's concentrating on the orientation of that particular counter. So then also you'll notice that he's mapping back and forth to the original counter, where he's using that as a reference on which way, not just where it should be placed, but also which way it should be orientated. So he's nearly finished the hexagons now, and he should just then map back to the the green triangles. Okay, let's have a look at how he gets on the green triangles. Yeah, okay, not bad. You can see him referencing the original green triangle. You can see it going down to the original one, getting it in the right orientation, then going back to the loose counters on the left hand side, putting it in the right place, and then this last green triangle into the bottom right hand side of the board, and that's it. Let me pause it there for a second. So you can see there that the well done screen came up as summary of how he got on. His target moves were 15. So he could have done that in 15 moves. He did it in 21, and not by placing any of the counters in the wrong place, but by simply moving off some of the counters without orientating them into the right position, or the right orientation, I should say. So his time was 1 minute 33 seconds, and you can see I've just paused it exactly where there's a little dwell point in the bottom right hand corner. As I said, the dwell points are hugely important. They give a very clear indication of how long Matthew has stayed concentrating on some of the shapes that were presented to him, and turning them around in his head to work out which way they should be pointing in the correct manner. And this is rotational symmetry. So straight into a new game now. The thing about Symmetry School, irrespective of the level, it's random every time. So there's a random puzzle generated every time. It's endless. It's not just simply 40 levels and that's it. In this particular puzzle here, you notice that there's quite a few purple counters. In the purple counters here, there's 3 different shapes though. There's the circle, there's the pentagon, which is new, and the original hexagon, which we dealt with in the last puzzle. So just a quick chat about this here. You notice that Matthew is mapping there's not so many dwell points in this particular level at this moment in time, but there is a pentagon, and a pentagon is really difficult to orientate in the right manner. So there's a dwell point coming up here when he places the first pentagon down. See that one? He's referencing the original one. He's gone back to it now because it's set, and look at the size of that dwell point there, where Matthew continuously references the original one and orientates it in the right manner in his head. So he's referencing the original point, he's rotating it around. Look at the size of that dwell point. No, still there, still there, still there, still there. Okay, so that was maybe 5 seconds. It was larger than the last level he played. He's back to the yellow hexagons now. He's referencing the original ones. You can see where his eye is mapping back and forth of where it should go, and the orientation of where it should be placed. Okay, so he's staying there. He's only got, there's red pentagons. I just noticed that now. There's some red pentagons that need to be placed, which are really tricky. Not that the colour makes them more tricky, but the pentagons themselves can be very difficult to orientate in the right manner. There's that little there's a little peak on the top of a pentagon, which gives an indication that it's pointing north or south. and if Matthew cops onto that, it should be easier for him to do that. So he's working on the triangles now. He's leaving the pentagons till last. I wouldn't blame him. They're the toughest of all of them. Okay, so big dwell point there of the triangle as he references which way it should be pointing. Okay, so where his eye went there. I think he's getting a bit tired maybe. Okay, so he's going back. You can see him referencing the top right hand corner and moving back to the top left hand corner of the board. And again, the size of that dwell point there when he gets to the pentagon. And he got that one right first off. So okay, so he's referencing the triangle that he put on, and referencing the one that was originally placed. Again, so he's got two left. He's got the pentagon here, and he's got the triangle. He's got to get that in the right order. And that's it. Okay, let me just pause that there for a second. Okay, so his target moves are 18 on this, and his moves are 46. Again, he didn't make any additional incorrect placements of counters, but what he did was he moved off the counter and orientated them incorrectly. So that's why his counters went up. So he has the option to try that game again, or he could play a new game and try and get his time down. Total time on that was 2 minutes and 46 seconds. And on the iPad version of the game, there is an extra module where it allows you to email that result to your teacher or your parent. So that's Symmetry School, and that's Rotational Symmetry School, and we hope you like the UX testing that we've released. I'd love to hear your comments, we'd love to hear your likes, and if you have anything to add to it, we would only be too delighted to listen to it. So stay tuned for the next version. We're working on Fraction School at the moment, and stay tuned for that, and we'll release the UX testing for that as well in the next couple of months. Alright, thanks very much, and take care. Bye.